Have you ever caught yourself blinking back tears, afraid someone would see you crack even for a second? Maybe you clenched your jaw or told yourself, "Come on, get it together," just to avoid showing your pain. What if I told you that the times you hid your feelings weren't in moments of strength, but tiny betrayals of your own compass? What if every tear you swallowed became a message buried deep inside you, still waiting to be read? If you know this feeling, even a little, tap the like button right now. Let's see how many of us are part of this quiet club. This isn't just a video, it's a shelter, an invitation for you to pause, take a slow breath, and follow that invisible thread pulling you back to yourself. Here at Inner Compass, we don't teach, we travel together. Every week we try to map the territory between your hidden aches and your realest strengths. Today's journey begins with the question, why do we keep swallowing our tears? And what would happen, really happen, if you finally let them come out? If you hear something today that echoes your own story, type "me on the inside" in the comments. Together, we'll see how many secret storms are actually brewing in this community. And near the end of our trip, I'll share the single insight that, believe it or not, has set more people free than everything else I've learned. Ready? Let's start at the very beginning. The birth of the invisible armor. Real men don't cry. There's a moment buried in the childhood of almost everyone watching. A time when big boys done to cry or toughen up landed heavy like a sudden blanket hiding who you really were. For me, it happened in my grandma's living room. Football game on TV. I just lost something small, but to me, the ache was sharp. My dad, gentle as he was, just sighed and told me, "Don't make a scene, son, be brave." Or maybe your story sounds different. Maybe it was the teacher who rolled her eyes at your trembling voice, or a best friend who laughed when you got choked up about a movie. Each time, we learned to wrap ourselves up in invisible armor, a shield we hoped would keep the world from seeing our softness. Here's something the neuroscientists say. When we're young, the brain is wired to seek safety and connection first, even more than truth. If the price of love is silence, so be it. The cost? We begin to lose the language of our own hearts. Do you remember learning to zip up your armor? What did it feel like putting away that first piece of yourself? But hiding pain isn't healing. It's just storing those aches somewhere deeper. And what happens next is often quieter, but far more powerful. 2. Storm at sea, the ocean beneath the surface. Picture this. Inside, an ocean grows. Each time you swallow a sob, each time you say, "I'm fine," with a trembling voice, it's like tipping another wave into your hidden sea. The surface looks still, maybe even peaceful if someone's glancing from outside. Underneath, rolling thunder, lightning cracking just below the calm. I remember a night in college. I was up late scrolling my phone, and out of nowhere an ad for dog food made me cry. For a second I thought, this is ridiculous. But the truth? The dam had cracked. All those uncried tears, all those bottled up storms, they find a way out, sometimes in the oddest places. Psychologists call it somatic memory. Unfelt feelings don't disappear. They're woven into your muscles, your posture, the tension you carry in your jaw, neck, or stomach. The body keeps score like a diary you can't just close. Have you felt it? A sudden wave of sadness out of nowhere? The tension that doesn't leave no matter how much you stretch? That's your silent storm, and without release, it will churn inside you for years. When you live with a private ocean, it takes creativity to keep your shores looking calm. So you learn to wear a mask, and soon even you can't tell where the act ends and the real you begins. 3. The mask we wear, smiling through the pain. I used to think the biggest achievement was to walk into every room smiling, no matter what I was carrying. "Don't worry about me, I'm okay, let's focus on you." Maybe you know someone like this, always the comforter, always the jokester. Maybe it's you. On the outside it looks grounded, on the inside it feels hollow. A friend of mine once confessed, "I've become so good at pretending to be okay that sometimes I fool even myself." Her laughter was brave, her social media a highlight reel. But in our late-night talks, she'd whisper, "Sometimes I just want to drop all of it and let someone actually see the real me." But how do you start? Here's a wild thing. Our brains actually become addicted to approval. Each time you get praised for being so strong or so chill, your mind rewards you, even if it means ignoring your own limits. So, let's get honest for a second. Who are you, really, when no one's watching? What's the part of you begging to be witnessed? If this stirs something in you, take a second and subscribe. Every week we lift the mask together. Maybe for only a few minutes, but sometimes that's all it takes. The mask keeps us afloat for years. But what price do we pay for never letting ourselves truly break down? 4. The cost of silence. What repression really takes. There's a hidden cost to all this swallowing and masking. Years ago, I worked with a woman who hadn't cried once in over a decade. On the surface, she was unshakable. But in gentle moments, she'd admit she felt starved for relief, as if holding her breath underwater year after silent year. The research backs her up. Bottled feelings don't just make us sad. They can drain our energy, curb our immune system, distort our relationships. It's like tending a dam that never quite stops leaking. Sooner or later, the water finds an escape. Maybe as anxiety, maybe as insomnia, maybe as anger that surprises even you. Once my own grandfather, World War II veteran, silent as granite, burst into tears over a simple family story. He looked startled, embarrassed. Then he laughed and said, "Guess I was carrying more than I thought." What part of you is carrying water? Where has your silence shown up? In your body, your moods, your relationships? Here's the twist. Even the strongest dams eventually crack. What happens when the first fissure finally appears? 5. The first crack. Allowing ourselves to feel. I'll never forget the night I finally let it happen. Not a disaster, not a catastrophe, just a quietly bad Tuesday. I burned my dinner, spilled coffee everywhere, and then, inexplicably, sat on the kitchen floor and started to cry. It felt silly until it didn't. The tears weren't just about spilled coffee. They were for 1,000 hurts I'd left unattended. Have you ever been caught off guard by a feeling, a memory, or even a song that turned you into a puddle? That's not a sign of weakness. That's the body saying, "Thank you. Finally." There's real science here too. Emotional release triggers endorphins, oxytocin, all those chemicals that make us feel safe again after the storm. Sometimes healing feels like hitting the reset button, a deep inhale, a trembling exhale. So, what's the smallest thing you could let yourself feel right now? Maybe it's a single tear in the shower. Maybe it's a big sigh in the car, alone. Maybe it's writing a letter you'll never send. But what if I told you real change isn't just about letting go alone? It's about letting yourself be seen as you really are. 6. The permission to heal. Learning to let go, together. Have you ever noticed how easy it is for children to cry in front of each other, but how hard it is for adults? There's a kind of contagious courage, like letting sunshine into a dark room. In my own life, it was a sibling who taught me. She cried openly at our grandmother's funeral, let the pain pour out, and she recovered much quicker than I did, hidden behind my own brave face. There's a reason for that. We're wired for connection. It's called mirror neurons. When you see someone else allow their feelings, your brain learns it's safe for you to as well. That's why community, even in the form of anonymous comments or a group text, matters so much. It's proof that someone else gets it, that you're not a problem to solve, but a soul to witness. If you've never had a space to put down your mask, even for a moment, maybe this can be it. If you're halfway through and thinking, I want more spaces like this, subscribe and join us. Every week we find safe ground for the feelings we were taught to hide. The most beautiful part? When you heal out loud, you give everyone around you silent permission to do the same. 7. Breaking the cycle. Finding your compass. Here's where the journey turns full circle. When we finally let ourselves feel and be seen, something strange and wonderful happens. The people around us start to heal too. Like when the boy from our story told his stoic dad, "You can cry too." And for the first time, the silence between them rippled and broke. Imagine being the person in your family or your friend group who says out loud, "It's okay not to have it together. It's okay to cry." Maybe you become a lighthouse for someone still lost at sea. And this is the compass you carry now, the power to choose honesty, healing, and vulnerability, instead of living behind those walls. What would life look like if you trusted your inner compass, instead of running from the storms within? Your journey doesn't end here. In fact, it's just beginning. Can you feel that inner shift, the sense that just maybe, you could find your way back to yourself? Let's gather all the pieces one more time. Your tears, your aches, your laughter, and your storms. Every one is a signpost on your personal map home. You aren't behind or broken for feeling deeply. You are equipped with a compass only you can read if you listen. Share in the comments. When was the first time you swallowed your tears? And what would you say to that younger version of yourself now? Your story might be the exact key someone else needs tonight. If you want more journeys back to yourself, subscribe and ring the bell. And next up, don't miss our video on what to do when emotions pop up at the wrong moment at work or in front of those you wish wouldn't see. Remember, your storms don't mean you're lost. They mean you're alive, and that somewhere inside, your compass is still pointing you home.